So what if, at the deepest levels, light doesn't reveal, but actually conceals? And what if one of the best ways to achieve what you really want is to sit alone in the dark and do absolutely nothing? And I mean nothing. For days on end. Zero light in a virtually soundproof room. Complete sensory deprivation. No phone, no watch, no computer. No contact with the outside world except for a guide that checks in with you once a day and delivers food. You have no idea what time it is, what day it is, or whether it's even day or night. Everything in your conventional reality is turned inside out and upside down. Sounds great, yeah? Well, for me, it's become an epic game of lost and found, one that I've been practicing for 29 years. It's called Dark Retreat, and it's the single most transformative practice I have ever done. You'll find versions of it in ancient Egypt and Greece, and it's still practiced today by Buddhist, Taoist, Hindus, and indigenous populations like the Colombian Kogi. As a lifelong meditator, I was really curious what it would be like to spend so much time alone in such a concentrated environment. Well, NBA superstar Rudy Gobert nailed it when after just 3 days in the dark, he said, "Dark retreat is meditation times 1,000. I go into the dark to lose my superficial sense of self in an effort to find my deeper, truer self. What I've lost in the light, I can find in the dark." Here's a photograph of my dark room at home. You don't have to invest a lot in decor. This is the practice of radical minimalism. And right here is one of the greatest benefits of dark medicine. Appearances don't matter. Fame and fortune doesn't matter. Reputation and social status doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the only thing you ever really have. And that's your beautiful mind and your good heart. Dark retreat frees you from the burden of having to put on a good face. You cannot have a bad hair day in the dark. All your makeup comes off. Even the face you normally put that makeup on comes off. And you can finally breathe a massive sigh of relief and just be yourself. The first time I walked up to my dark retreat cabin, I was filled with anticipation and dread. The cabin was so unassuming from the outside, but I knew what was waiting for me on the inside. Nothing. Pure blackness. When the door closed behind me, it felt like I had just been swallowed, and my heart was pounding from the intensity of such silence and stillness. For the first few days, I tend to sleep a lot, as my body gets the rest it so desperately needs. It's actually a fantastic luxury to sleep as often as you want, however long you want. It's not exactly like I gotta get up and do something. But sooner or later, I do have to get up. And then the question becomes, okay, now what? Well, I can reflect on my life, I can meditate, and I can work out a problem, but by far, the single most important thing I can do is lie on the floor in corpse pose and do absolutely nothing. It's the easiest thing in the world, which actually turns out to be the most difficult. Darkness puts all my relentless activity under house arrest, and it virtually forces me into simple human being. It has taught me that who I think I am is defined by what I do, but who I really am is revealed when I just stop doing. For me, this full stop was a hard stop. It was really difficult. The darkness was heavy, suffocating, oppressive. I felt like I'd just been sealed inside of a tomb. I fought against it. I resisted it. I tried to outsmart it, and I even tried to outmeditate it. And all the time, I kept thinking to myself, I can't believe I'm actually paying for this. But at a certain point, something shifted. And I finally just gave up. My shoulders dropped. My stomach unclenched. And my breathing lengthened. And it's so hard to put this into words. But somehow, this crushing tomb had transformed into the most nurturing womb. And dare I say, a womb with a view of who you really are when no one is looking. I was no longer resisting the darkness. Now I was part of it. I actually couldn't tell where the darkness ended and I began. Somehow, magically, this dark retreat had erased me to point out the unerasable. No edge, no boundary, just an infinite field of pure open being. And in that vast openness, what had been so bloody awful turned into pure awe. This is when I realized that darkness itself is fundamentally neutral. It's just dark. The weight, the suffocation I felt was due to everything I had projected onto it. My loneliness, my heartbreak, my pain, and my fear. The darkness was acting like a mirror. As I lightened up, so did the dark. As I softened, so did the dark. The darkness hadn't transformed. I had. And this is when I realized that this practice that can seem so daunting from the outside is only as hard as you are. Once I stopped shielding myself against the darkness and opened to it, it's not just my eyes that dilated, everything dilated. My body softened, my mind expanded, and my heart broke wide open. I would often find myself on the floor weeping, not out of sadness, but out of fullness and immense gratitude for what I had just been shown. I have to say, when I come out of the dark, I'm so open, I should probably be quarantined. The love I feel for the world is so transmissible that I'll often say to people, I don't know all that well, I love you. It just freaks them out. Dark Retreat has shown me how we're each afflicted with a darkness deficit disorder. It's a disorder of depth, interiority, and authenticity. It's a disorder, a fundamental disconnect, because we think what we're looking for is outside in the light, but it's actually to be found in the darkness within. Light in general, and artificial light in particular, pulls us out and away from ourselves to such an extent that we've lost contact with who we really are. We're equally out of touch with the sacred earth, and we can no longer really feel each other. As earth is losing its darkness, we are losing our way. And every single time we flip on the light, we violate the natural curfew of the night and capitulate to distraction. To distract literally means to pull apart. And nothing that pulls us apart from ourselves and from each other more insidiously and relentlessly than light. And with each distraction comes a dismemberment and a forgetting. Darkness helps us remember. So, how does this apply to you? Well, you may never spend a single day in the dark, but you can taste this medicine in so many ways. You can microdose in the blink of an eye. Literally. You can elect to spend an evening away from lit screens, or spend an evening by candlelight. Or you can step outside on a moonless night and allow yourself to be draped in delicious darkness. And then notice what you feel. Notice how what's most essential is often invisible to the eye. You know, we use phrases like, at the end of the day, to convey a sense of what really matters at the end, what's of ultimate importance, the bottom line. Well, what happens at the end of the day? It gets dark. It all comes down to darkness. Why not let it teach you now? Why not let darkness illuminate your life now?